Potama is a notion well known to Māori. The narrative held within this concept explains how learning occurs and expertise is developed. Potama, or steps to heaven, can be displayed in the woven tukutuku panels on the walls of the whare tupuna.
So when working to engage Māori learners and using mātauranga Māori or Māori frameworks to find a way to do that, we can use models that are common to Māori. One of those models is Potama. Potama. The Potama model has an excellent Western parallel in the context of a Russian guy called Vygotsky. And the story that it talks about is Tane's ascent to the heavens to get the baskets of knowledge, to retrieve the baskets of knowledge and bring them back down and share those baskets with the people. In the same way, Vygotsky talks about the zone of proximal learning. And when he talks about that, he talks about the upward journey of learning, the upward staircasing of the learning journey. And this is what is said about that journey. So two parallels going on here. We've got Potama discussing Tane's ascent to the heavens to receive the baskets of knowledge, and then we've got Vygotsky's zone of proximal learning. So the upward journey of learning is the stuff that hurts. It's the stuff where we grow new brain cells, and it's the climb, okay, to a pinnacle, okay. It hurts. Or in Vygotsky's terms, it is the potential knowledge, okay? The potential of the learning journey, the potential knowledge. Then the acrossward journey is this, the actual knowledge of the learning process. Inside of the actual knowledge, we do things like the review process, we maintain our learning, we do things like repeat and go over work. And why do we do that? To ensure that that knowledge is consolidated and it becomes comprehensive, something that we can trigger and lean back on, and so it has a strong foundation.
We strive to be heading for those kete mātauranga Māori that are sitting up in Tāne Nui Arangi. I believe we work better as a group than as individuals, because for myself, I may have an idea, but I'd like to share it with other people, just to get a different learning, given different ideas from other people, and then I get a bit of a learning from how people can see whether my idea is okay, whether it's no, what are you talking about, no hirata, no, that's not a good idea. And I believe by coming into a group situation to talk with people, that the knowledge sits within our group, and then we're all sort of there in the one place, and we think, oh yeah, okay, so what are we going to do with this? Whatever the research is, we need to find out a bit more. So that's that climb up.
I think mostly it's about your day-to-day interaction with your students. It's really about just respect, acknowledge that, they do know stuff and that it counts. I think that's really important. Acknowledge too that of myself, that I have something that I could offer these people, and that all I'm doing is just facilitating the process where they can understand what I'm trying to teach them or whatever, So that's kind of on that level. It kind of comes at different levels, I suppose, And there's the deliberate acts of teaching, you know, where you would do your karakia and your whakawhanaunganga, mihi and all that stuff. But really, I think in real life, it's about your one-to-one interaction with people. It just comes down to saying people's names properly, remembering where they're coming from and what kind of social schema that they understand, because a tertiary institution, whether it's wānanga or Pākehā University or whatever, Polytechnic, it's different from being at home or being on the marae or being in the hui. Different. But you can't discount the knowledge that they have learnt from there. You know, it's relevant here. So so you've got to, you know, as a staff member, be cognizant of your tauira and their schemas.
But it's taking that plunge and just doing it, and even perhaps saying to people the first time you do it, look, this is the first time I've tried this. You know, just please let me know if there is anything that you'd like to discuss or any pointers you've got. I'm giving this a go for the first time, and I want to keep doing it, but I want to keep doing it so it's worthwhile and works for people.
Because when some of the kaiako have spoken to me, I'm sure they do it very patiently and say to me things, well, that's why that would happen. So my journey is still going. That's perhaps the second aspect of it. So ako being the first aspect as I'm learning, and the journey is certainly not finished. You have to take some steps, some little steps first, and be prepared for people to help you in that journey. One thing I can remember is I was talking to the Ropu team at one of the wānanga, and I think we'd come to an agreement that there wasn't a lot of calculations in their course. But the ako that I was taking from that, we were talking about place value. And in place value, in the system, is everything's in tens. And we got to 1,000, and in reo, it's mano. And so I said, what's a million? And they said, miriona. I said, you've got to be kidding. And then one of the guys said, we can actually say mano. I thought, that's cool, that's 1,000 thousands. Yeah, that makes sense. It's not hybridized or anything. And I've come across a couple of resources, one by Wharehuia Hemara on Māori pedagogies. That's been interesting for me. I need to keep going back to it to look things up and remind myself that there are aspects that I perhaps need to be more polished with.
So who was that one?
Wharehuia Hemara. Yeah. And obviously jury. What I think is that it's all about people making some sort of effort and actually in being part of something that you really enjoy that effort. I think if you're really true to what you're doing, you actually enjoy that effort because you think, this is making sense. I'm not going to say common sense, because common means everyone does it. I think it's good sense.
Sometimes people say to me, oh, we don't need to use Māori pedagogies because we don't have any Māori students, or we only have a few. And I say to them that what I've learned from being my little forays into the Māori world and mātauranga Māori is a hugely rich source of inspiration and information for me to inform my teaching. And that if you can use techniques that work well with Māori or are rooted in a Māori worldview, then those techniques and approaches are good for anybody. So a lot of the techniques that I used and do use in my teaching that I developed through working with youth training and training opportunities, I've used those with PhD kaiako. I've used them in Austria, working with business people who were very buttoned up and uptight, and I used the techniques. I got people to call each other by their first name when they were only used to calling each other by their surnames, and got people talking to each other and working in pairs and using tuakana tēnā and talking about their life experience. And most recently I've worked with orphans in Peru and children, and I've used similar techniques with them. And to me, the Māori pedagogies are this amazing source of inspiration for us as teachers, and that we need to be using them. And if we use them, then we're actually using them in it's like working with the principles of universal design, some people call it, or holistic models of something. But I actually think, for me, it's about being a person who comes from Aotearoa, and it's about being able to share that with the world. That's our contribution as New Zealanders, and we've got the Māori to thank for that.